Can you really eat out for every single meal and still lose weight? What if you hate to cook or are always on the go? Those are the exact same questions Ann Urban asked herself before finally discovering a way of eating that could actually work for the way that she lives her life. And if you too find yourself eating out all the time, then this is the episode for you. Welcome to the Ditch the Carbs podcast, brought to you by Thinlicious. I'm your host, Ruth Soukup, and here we'll talk about everything from the science of weight loss and metabolic flexibility to practical tips for making your health a priority in the midst of a very busy life. It's the perfect blend of insightful education, practical application, and good old-fashioned motivation. So buckle up, friend, because it's about to get real. Hey there, and welcome to the Ditch the Carbs podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruth Soukup, and I'm the founder of Thinlicious and the Thin Adapted System, as well as the New York Times bestselling author of 7 books. And before we dive into today's very compelling interview, I just want to remind you that we are starting our Healthy Belly Challenge in just a couple of weeks on July 3rd, and it is going to be such a good challenge. You guys, I am telling you, you do not want to miss this one. I know it's summertime and it might not feel like the timing is perfect, but as you are going to hear into today's episode, there is always a way to make it work for your life. So like all of our quarterly challenges, this one is based on our 28-day metabolism reset. But this time around, we are going to be taking a much deeper dive specifically into healing your gut and strengthening your core, which honestly is a perfect challenge for the summertime, right? All you have to do to get signed up is go to thinlicious.com/challenge and then get ready to dive in with us starting July 3rd. It is seriously the best possible way to get started on your health journey. And I promise you, it will motivate you and change your life like nothing you have ever tried before. I promise. All right, so with that shameless plug out of the way, let's dive in because in today's episode, we're taking another deep dive into what transforming your life through adopting a low-carb lifestyle actually looks like by sitting down to chat with another one of our amazing Thinlicious customers, Ann Urban. And Ann's story is a little different because from day one, Ann basically refused to try a single one of our recipes, which was frankly her loss because they're really, really good, or to follow our preset meal plan, which is also very useful. But she didn't want any of that. Instead, she just wanted the system. And so she familiarized herself with our macro recommendations and with our program guidelines and showed up for the things that she needed. And she just got herself especially comfortable with the suggestions that we made for eating out, right? We give you a restaurant guidelines, a little pocket guide to take with you, because the truth is that she's not really into cooking and she eats out all the time. So for any program to work for her, it had to be totally flexible. And luckily, that's exactly what Thinlicious is all about, creating a sustainable low-carb lifestyle that actually works for the way that you live your life. But honestly, it's better to hear Ann's story in her own words. So here's what she had to say when she sat down with our Thinlicious success coach, Angela Epperson, to talk about her journey so far.
So, Ann, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to the community?
Well, I'd be delighted to. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ann Urban. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm 63 years old. I'm a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4. I've been married 39 years and I own a full service event production company here in Northeast Florida. We do over 300 events a year, so it's a little stressful in my life and in my world. I work about 70 to 80 hours a week. So I certainly know what it's like to have a very, very busy life. So I started on the program back in September with the Fall Challenge. And I'll tell you a little bit more. Is there anything else you want me to cover, Angela?
I love that. No, and the production company, it just has me intrigued. I am sure you are on the go all the time and you have so much happening. Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to know kind of what drew you to Thinlicious and our program, and maybe what it was that felt different about this, maybe instead of things that you had tried in the past.
Yeah. So I had started listening to Ruth on the Do It Scared podcast, and I'm doing that because I'm in the process of writing a book, and I really was interested in learning from her, and I loved her training style. I'm very particular, having been a former trainer, and so I really, really, really loved her style and grew to trust her methods. So when she announced this program, it caught my attention because I was certainly a candidate for it. I literally, from the time I was 45 years old till I hit my 60s, I went from a size 6 to a size 20, gained 75 pounds. Just, even though everyone always says I'm very high energy, the weight gain did not affect my energy. I will admit that. And that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't take it serious. I was relatively healthy, but I was borderline everything. Oh, you're borderline pre-diabetic. Oh, your cholesterol, might have to put you on medicine. So you need to start walking. These were the things that doctors were telling me, but I felt great.
Yeah.
But I didn't look great. And I knew the inflammation. You could look in the mirror and I looked like I was pregnant. I mean, literally, I had gained so much weight. It was slowing me down. And I thought, this is the time that I need to take it serious while I'm still healthy enough to take it serious.
Yeah.
But I need to change it because the clock was ticking, and I would, it's a lot harder, obviously, the older you get. So I decided to take the challenge and just see if it worked for me. But I'm was a major carb addict. I mean, I tried, oh my God, so many times I tried to give up potatoes for Lent and forget it. I couldn't get through the first week. I mean, I just didn't think I could do this.
Yeah.
But I went in, and all the sessions on mindset and the science behind it. I mean, how do you ignore the science? And when you really start to study, it did change my programming of how I went, I really don't want to put these poisons in my body. I really am very lucky that I haven't let it affect me the way it could have at this stage of my life with the drastic, weight gain. Yeah. So at the end of the 28 days, I had lost 15 pounds. And like they say, it was probably water, but that's not what motivated me to join TAS. What motivated me was the difference in the way I felt.
Yes.
And the process. I had done Weight Watchers. I had done metabolic research. I had done Nutrisystems throughout the course of my years. All those worked in the sense that I lost weight, but every single one of them, I lost the weight, gained the weight, and gained more.
Yes, I talked about this a lot in accountability groups, just my own experiences that, it wasn't for lack of trying, right? It wasn't for lack of getting out there and trying to make something happen. But once I got here and I started to truly understand what the science was and why my body wasn't adjusting to it, it's the light bulbs go on and you go, well, no wonder I wasn't losing weight before. No wonder this wasn't going to hold and wasn't going to stick, because I was still eating the same things, just in moderation, right?
Right.
Moderation, but it's not changing what's going on inside me. And this program, understanding what's going on inside you and being able to actually shift how your body burns that fuel, it was this light bulb, and you can't unlearn it. You can't, now every time you do put something in your mouth, you're making a choice, but you think in the back of your head, but now I understand what it's doing in there. So maybe I don't want to do that as much as I used to, or not at all. And it really does shift that mindset. I love that. That's so
yeah.
good.
It's not only that, I don't want to do it anymore. That's how I know it's sustainable. I mean, I literally don't want that garbage going in. I mean, I'll taste it and, go, oh no, I don't even want it. I don't want to feel the way it makes you feel. I don't miss it. And that's what I didn't understand could happen. I really, really thought I was the one person, no way am I going to be able to give up sugar and carbs. But it was so once you get past it, and I think that's what TAS did for me, was help me get through I had friends, oh, keto's horrible, or, oh my gosh, you're never, just the people who were trying to sabotage the effort. You have it. And they're there. They don't believe it, that you're going to really change. Some of them even tempt you. And I would have to say to them, look, if I were an alcoholic, would you ask me to go out to happy hour with you? You wouldn't. You'd respect the fact that they don't have any business. If I were I'm not an alcoholic. But if I were, that's what you'd say. So don't ask me to go out for pizza.
Right.
When I'm going through this process of retraining and reprogramming my body.
I talked about it this week. I did a girls trip recently, and, even just family, things like that. They're always like, oh, well, can you eat that? Can you have this? Can you have that? And can we go there? And we do that? And I love them all dearly. Like, I appreciate the fact that they are aware that I am doing something and that I'm changing things, but it's like, but actually explaining to them that, yes, I can eat a whole lot of great foods. I can go with you to any restaurant and I can find something that works. And also having the confidence finally to say no when I needed to say no, because I knew I was putting myself in a position. But I love your analogy about the alcoholism. I mean, it's valid. Like, people have to learn too, not to put other people in those positions. And I love that that you've talked that through, and that you are in a mental state to say that to other people too. I mean, that's a huge step.
Well, and believe me, as you'll learn as we talk a little bit more, I eat out all the time. And I mean, my life is social. I'm working weddings every weekend, 3 days a week, and I'm stuck with the vendor meals that they give us. But there's so many things that you can do that are so simple, that allow you to still have a busy lifestyle and still let you go out and still let you do these things. And I'll certainly share some of that with you.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was there anything that you were worried about other than just like the carb addiction? Was there anything, coming into this program, or did you have that mindset of, I'm going to do this and, we're just going to see how it goes?
I didn't have any reservations about what the program was saying, and primarily because my husband, he just lost 175 pounds this last 2 years. And he was forced to do that. Mayo Clinic met him, he was doing it with a dietitian and really had to learn for his health. And what I was learning through his behavior change, because, our journey getting heavy was kind of together. I guess we were fat and happy. But, when he's 375 pounds and at the time, and, I always felt small around him, because how wouldn't you? He's 6'6" and 375 pounds. You're going to feel small. So I never felt big, but I was big around other people. I learned that what they were teaching him about diet was very similar to what Thinlicious does. The principles were the same. So I knew that the process was correct. It was just whether or not I was going to be able to do it. And, he gave me so much encouragement throughout the way, saying, you can do this. Look at me. Look how good I feel. I'm back to the weight I was when we married 39 years ago.
Wow.
I feel so much better. I want you to feel better. I want you to have this change. And so those encouragements made it, a little easier for me, because I did know that the program was a healthy one.
Well, and I'm sure it is always helpful to have that support system, right? At whatever level it is, but to have your spouse going through something similar at the same time, whether it was this, the same or not, and similar programs, that's so helpful for you guys to not be fighting each other in the process. And what an amazing, transformation for him as well. So speaking of that, what have your results been to date?
So they've been really exciting. So I've gone from that size 20, which I can't even believe I could say I was that, down to a 14, which is still not where I want to be. I want to get back. My goal is a size 8, but I'm super proud that in the amount of time, think about it. It's only been since September. So I've lost 36 pounds and 17 and a half inches. But I think the biggest part was that my cholesterol, when I started this, I went back and looked at my blood work from the summer months to where I just tested 3 weeks ago. And my cholesterol has gone from 270 to 140. My doctor said to me, oh my God, you have the blood work of a 35-year-old. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. My AC1 had gone from a 6 to a 4.5. So I'm in great blood work range. Just everything, every marker was like perfect. And so that's why I knew from a healthy standpoint that I was going the right. That's a motivator to stay on the program for life, because I don't have to take the meds people my age typically have to take. And now maybe, I'll stay healthier longer.
Yes. That was a huge motivation for me. I had hit a wall. I felt that inflammation daily. I'll share my before and after picture in the Facebook group again soon, but just that bloated, uncomfortable feeling all the time. And I'm in my early 40s and I was like, this is not normal. This is not okay for this to be the norm for so many people and for so many people around me. I mean, I've got friends and I've got family and you watch us, and we didn't get here overnight, right? We talk about this a lot. We did not get here overnight. You don't know what you don't know. And now that we know all of this science and everything that we can do, it just changes so many things. And you look at your life so differently. I look at it going, yeah, the next 40, 50 years, whatever I have here, like can be even better than my 20s and my 30s were, because I now have this new lease on life. This new lease on my health, because I want to be here. I want it. I want a longer life. I want to feel good in my body. And the vanity that comes with that is just the bonus. Actually feeling good in your clothes, losing the weight and feeling more confident and comfortable is just, it's like the icing, but the health part of it is the cake.
Well, I shared my motivation in one of our, weekly session that we have. And basically, my motivation started for others, not for myself necessarily. I have 2 incredibly beautiful daughters and I have 4 grandchildren. And so I thought, kids never listen to their parents. I wish they listened, but they don't. So I thought, they've watched their dad and the improvement in his health. And if they can see that, because I use the excuses, I work too much. I don't have the time. I don't like to cook. My lifestyle's not good for it. I had every excuse in the world and I'm listening to them give those same excuses. And so I thought, all right, now maybe I can set an example and show, I can do this. Anyone can do this. And without having to say anything, they're watching the transformation and now they're interested. Now they're asking questions. Tell me about this program more. Where in the beginning it was like, oh yeah, whatever. Now they're seeing it. So I want their health while they're young enough to make the changes. I wish I had done this years.
I know. I mean, so that's what everybody says. Everybody says, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I'd done it sooner. Yeah. And understood the science and all of those things. I love all of that, because I just had kind of a moment with my daughter the other day. I've got a 14-year-old, and my, a big part of my motivation is I resonated with Ruth's story when this first came out, that, she didn't want to make it a point to diet the rest of her life, especially in front of her daughters. And same thing, it shouldn't be like this. This shouldn't be the norm, that we just, all of us in society are constantly on these yo-yo diets, and we're always going for the new fad and the new thing, but we're not actually healing or helping ourselves. And I didn't want her thinking that is how you should live the rest of your life. I want you to understand now. Right. And she's an athlete, and we talk about it a lot more now that she is busy constantly with practices and games, that, fueling your body makes a difference. And if you can learn this now and start to understand it, it's going to make your life so different than, ours were or other people around you. But she had a moment the other day where she was like, she brought home a bunch of snacks from an event that she was at. They handed them off, the fruit snacks and all the things. And she tells me the other morning, because I had made some breakfast things, she's like, you know what, Mom, I saw that bag in the morning and I went to grab some of that stuff to take with me to school. And she goes, and then she's like, and I caught myself, and she was like, And I grabbed like a banana instead and I walked out the door. And I was so proud of her just for the fact that she is thinking about it. She's thinking about what her healthy choices are. They may not be the same as mine just yet because her metabolism is different. But the more we talk about it, the more we do it and we show her that this is, healthy and that we don't want you.
I think it's important to have healthy snacks available. My grandchildren are over here. My husband watches them. He's retired and he watches them a couple days a week after school. And they used to love to come here because he would feed them candy and just all kinds of crap, Right. And I said to him, we can't be a part of this. If we're supposed to be setting examples and we're on this mission together, get that stuff out of it. So we literally threw it all out.
Yeah.
And now when they're over here, they get healthy snacks and they're learning to love the healthy snacks instead of not, because there's nothing else in the house for them to have and they're hungry. So, let's have them love those healthy snacks so that they're learning the difference. And if we can't change necessarily what they get at school or what they get at home, at least when they come to our house, they're going to see that you can still have really good food, but it's healthy. Last night, I have to share, last night I had dinner and I fixed a pot roast and I knew my son-in-law was coming and he likes mashed potatoes. So I made the mashed potatoes for him, but I made the mashed cauliflower for myself to put with the pot roast. And I asked my daughter, I said, do me a favor, taste test both. Just see which one you like. Because one will make you feel like crap and one's going to make you feel good when you're done eating. And she tasted the mashed cauliflower and she said, this tastes so much better. She said, I love, love, love this. And I said, well, this is what I'm trying to share with you. This program teaches you how you don't have to deprive yourself. Right. You just make simple substitutions and still get to love your food.
Yes. And at the end of the day, not feeling bloated and uncomfortable anymore. Like I get to the end of my day and you probably know this, as busy as you are, you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I'm not wiped. Like I'm not tired. I can do my evening activities and not feel like I've completely strained myself. Yeah. It's such a good feeling. And I love that. And I love that they're more open to it and that they're starting to share that with you as you go. Like, you're right. Just set the example and see who follows. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the dining out, because this is one, like a unique part of your story that we don't hear all the time, but from like, I'll have to tell you when you had kind of shared in one of the accountability calls, like Lisa came back out and she's like, oh my gosh, Ann has lost all this weight and she eats out all the time. She's such a great example of like how you can make this work for you. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my friends all say the same thing. And when I go to eat, I think they feel a little guilty when they order their dinners and then they see me and then mine comes out better. And every single time I do a custom order, the servers, it has happened 100% of the times go, oh my God, this looks so much better than what we serve. We should put this on the menu. And I'm like, it not only looks better, it tastes better. And I'm going to feel phenomenal when I go home. So I'll share a story. I went to a restaurant called Cooper's Hawk here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. And City.
Oh, do you? Well,
tell me what
you can have. So I really love carbonara sauce. It's that creamy, heavy cream sauce. Well, who doesn't love that? So they have a nochi carbonara on the menu. So I said to them, I would like the nochi carbonara without the nochi. The server looked at me like, what? And I said, yeah, so I need you to talk to the chef and ask him if he can do the nochi carbonara without the nochi and put it over broccolini. And I said, just something very simple. If you got broccolini, broccoli, sauteed spinach, whatever you can do, I would love that sauce over one of those three vegetables. So he goes, well, I think we could probably do that. Let me go back and ask. So of course the chef was loving it and challenged it and brought it out. Two things I do when I dine out. Number one, I always cut whatever portion they give you in half. Immediately ask for a to-go box. The minute I get the order, I cut it in half and I put away half of it, because if it's yummy, I'm going to be tempted to eat the whole thing. And we never need to. We know that restaurants always overserve portions. So from a portion control, I always just do that in the beginning. I say, when you bring my meal, bring me a to-go box, put it away. Secondly, I really look at what I can have and what I could do to substitute it. So at that restaurant, that's what I did. It was the best meal. I felt great. Everybody else just was stunned. And of course, everyone wanted to try my meal because they're like, this is so much better than ours. So that's an example of what I do. I went to P.F. Chang's, another one. I love P.F. Chang's. So I asked them, they don't have the chicken cashew on the menu anymore, but you can ask them for it. And so I said, listen, I want to have that, no rice. Can I have that with spinach? And they said, sure. So they made it for me. I brought it out, did the same formula, put half of it away and substituted that. It was delicious. So it's just, those are the kind of things I do whenever I go out. I love Cantina Louie, which Mexican food is one of my favorites. So I'll get the queso dip. I bring my pork rinds. That'll let me feel like I can eat a little bit of the appetizer with everyone. But I love going on Taco Tuesdays because I'll get my tacos and ask them for them in lettuce cups. And that way I can still have what I want. I still get the Taco Tuesday that everybody else is happening, but I'm not putting the tortillas. I don't need that. I don't need the rice. I don't need the beans. What I want is to make sure that what I'm having is the shrimp. I love their shrimp one. It's delicious in a lettuce cup. So little tweaks like that when I go out, every restaurant. I mean, you can go to a restaurant that maybe you don't have to customize it. You just tell them I want a cheeseburger without the bun. Or you go with a steak or grilled chicken and vegetables. And if it comes with a starch, tell them you don't want the starch. You'd rather have double vegetables. Or can you add a side salad instead? They'll make those accommodations, which is exactly what I do. Yeah. And I haven't found a restaurant yet that, other than pizza restaurants. Now, I don't trust their cauliflower crust to know if it's really good enough. So I've kind of cut that out when I go out and make my own here. But I will. Go ahead.
I've done that as well. Like pizza places, I did have an epiphany one day going, I don't have to not go to a pizza place. I just don't eat any of the crust or the dough, right? So you can get a side salad and you can get pizza with everybody else, but then you just eat the toppings, right? Eat the cheese, eat the pepperonis, eat the meat and the veggies. And you can still make it work if you're out and about, or look at their appetizers. A lot of, you forget some pizza places do have like meatballs or things that you can do. I was just looking at the chat a little bit and it does Lisa was saying she does the meatball appetizer, serves it with cheese at Cooper Hawk, and it's amazing. I just did that recently at Bravo, or, like the Italian restaurant. I was on my girls' trip, and meatballs and a side salad. I mean, there are so many things you can do. And here's one thing I did the other day. So we're on the go a lot with soccer. We 2 nights a week, I'm at double headers. We didn't have time to eat. So my husband and I, and it's like, we're going to smaller, towns and things sometimes, and we're running through and there's a Freddy's. Okay. And Freddy's is like a big steak burger place. And I get in there and I'm like, okay, well, either way I can have the burger, right? I can do the burger, don't do any sides, don't do anything else. And then I'm, looking at the menu, and at the very bottom in little, it's like, you can order any of these in a lettuce wrap. And I thought to myself, oh, heck yeah, I want a steak burger and lettuce. So I ordered mine that way, and I just eliminated the sides. Like I just didn't order anything else, and it was content. So even at some of those fast food places, you can figure it out and you can make it work, the best you can. But I love all of your tips. Those are so amazing.
Oh, I've gone to Burger King and told them I want a double cheeseburger, no bun. And I've had to do that when I go through if I'm really rushing, and again, every place I believe will accommodate. Now I do a little bit of cooking. I know I say I don't cook much, but here's how I handle the cooking. It's kind of a cheat cook. So a girlfriend of mine, before I started this journey, had said to me, because I told her I'm just not a very good cook and I don't really enjoy cooking. She told me about Gobble. I know there's different brands. There's HelloFresh. There's this. So yes. I wanted to share this. I don't know if you can see this, because it actually gives you all the breakdowns at the bottom.
Oh, that's great.
So anything you order, like this particular one, it says 17 grams. So for me, what I look at it is I then go to the ingredient list and say, what is giving the biggest carb count in this that I can get rid of? So if I have, this will be funny for you to see this. So, which I love because the food is so good. These are my recipes. These are literally all the gobbles that I've ordered.
I love that.
Because they're so good. And I'm just very, very particular about if they have it. Let's say they use flour in one of the packets. I substitute with almond flour, or I don't use the flour at all. Or if it comes with mashed potatoes, I have my own mashed cauliflower. I can look at the ingredients and then I'll go ahead and Google it, look it up to see what's the carbs on that. Ooh, dried cherries. They were what's killing that carb on it. So I get rid of the ingredients that are really high in carbs, and they're still delicious. And I can make these meals in less than 30 minutes.
Love that.
They're affordable and they're absolutely restaurant quality, and they're all healthy. They're all healthy foods. It's whole foods. It's no processed. It's all really, really yummy. And so for me, when I come home and, I've worked a long day and I want to be able to eat within 30 minutes, I can have the most delicious meal with everything right there for me. And I can just look at it, know what to remove and know what to substitute and be able to make a delicious meal.
That's such a great way of looking at it. I used to do HelloFresh like years ago. It was so nice to have that convenient stuff and to not be afraid of still, using a service like that may simplify and help you, especially if you are busy and on the go, to have everything, but to be able to look ahead. And so your meal planning is maybe not like, hey, I have to go to the grocery store. It's, hey, I'm going to jump on Gobble and I'm going to look at what recipes I'm having shipped to me next week. And how can I mix it up or make it the best that I can for what's coming to my door. I love that. That's such a, about
they
that.
say you are who you hang with, right? So a lot of my friends that I hang with that are super healthy and look amazing, they're all, I do a lot with women business owners because I'm a business owner myself. And I had a dear friend of mine who had me over for dinner, and she is literally the epitome of physically and spiritually the most beautiful person. And I asked her, I said, how do you stay so healthy? She's 60 years old. And she looks like she's 40 at the most. And I asked her, how do you do it? And she's the one who introduced me to Gobble because she said, look, Ann, here, I'm going to give you a trick on how in your crazy busy life. And I'm going to give you a list of restaurants that you should be going to. You should be going to True Foods. You should be going to Seasons 52. Get rid of these restaurants that are not, you're having to fight to find healthy things, and go to the ones where you can get truly not just the low carbs, but I mean, organic and healthy. And, they won't try to sneak in bad things on you. And so she gave me, I did have I call her my health coach because she's been so amazing. She also turned me on to, I have a personal trainer now because who has time to go to the gym? I don't have time to go to the gym. So I have a virtual personal trainer, and we work out every morning at 5:30 in the morning via computer. It's a group class, so it's affordable. No one can see me, so I can just, roll out of bed and do what I need to do. But I'm doing 2 days of upper, 2 days of lower, and 2 days of core. And I really think getting that exercise in, like they teach you in TAS, I wouldn't do it by myself. And I do not have time to go to a gym, but I was able to get creative and use a virtual trainer and love, love, love it. So busy people, I just threw out all your excuses. You can do it if you get the mindset to do it.
Yes, you did. And it's so fun. I mean, everything that you've talked about are all those things that have held us back for so many years. Those things that we did make excuses for, to just be like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. Or feeling like when you were on a certain program, like, oh, I can't go out to eat anywhere or do anything. And kind of keeping friends and family at bay as well for a period of time, just so that you could focus and you can do things. And that may still be what some people need. But you are, oh my gosh, you're just living proof that you can make it work in such a busy environment, and that you don't have to be afraid about, you don't have to be afraid to try new things, substitute things, ask the chef at a restaurant or the waitress or waiter, like, can you mix this up for me? Because it really is going to make a difference for me later, how I feel. And Lisa's saying, yes, these tips are pure gold. And we love it.
Well, I have one last tip that I'm going to share. I shared it in the weekly accountability. I started listening to a podcast that's called Wake Up and Read the Labels. And I know in TAS, they teach us about reading the labels. What I love about Jen Smiley and her podcast on Wake Up and Read the Labels is that not only does she educate you on reading the labels and what you're seeing, but then she gives you alternatives. She gives you the answers right there of what you can substitute with, and to truly have clean eating. What I was surprised is when I went to Whole Foods shopping and I started really paying attention to labels, yes, I know it's healthy because it's whole foods, but you have to go a little step beyond that and really pay attention to the carbs, because there's a lot of healthy foods, healthy because they're whole foods and they're organic, but they're not so good on the carb side of it. So you have to really read those labels, study them, and figure out what's best for you. And I've just found, again, getting into the science behind who she brings in as speakers has been just outrageous. I love it. So.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's one of those things that you kind of grow into, right? Like now that you've been in the program, it's like, those are some of those next steps is getting control of yourself, getting control of what your understanding is of the science and how you make this work for you. And then you add, certain things in, but then you get to this place where you just, knowledge is everything, right? Like sometimes you just can't stop and you just want to keep going. You want to hear, all these things. So I love that you're on the podcast. I think I follow her on Instagram. I think I was on your AG call that day.
Yeah, you were on that one. Well, TAS has really been for me, that's what got me into that mindset. I love the challenge because that was like the lighting of the match, the fuse. It got me going. But what has kept me growing was the TAS. And I love being able to go back and see the videos when I need help, like on the self-sabotage. Sometimes I need that one. I need to go back and be able to, let me go back and watch that video again. And I love and I'm grateful that they have that. And I love the weekly meetings. I couldn't do it without the weekly meetings. Keep me going.
Yeah, they're great. And you know what? I had a couple people last night on our call that, it's you get a balance, right? You get to show up when you're at your highs and your lows, and you get to share with the community and you get to connect in a different way. And it's such a big piece of this program. And I don't know that anybody has really, experienced this in another program the same way. We are very humble. We come at our vulnerable time. Sometimes we had a couple of people last night who raised their hand and they were like, yeah, I kind of screwed up this week. I self-sabotaged myself and I knew I was doing it. And you know what? But I came here and I showed up because I wanted to hold myself accountable and make the next right move, right? That Lisa was talking about yesterday. Make the next right move. And the next right move for them was just coming to an accountability call, being able to get out and talk with other people. And that's why we love TAS so much, to be able to have those opportunities. So I'm glad that you experienced that, but it's also stuff like this, right? You get to come and you get to share what you are doing that is changing your life. And it's something that somebody didn't get to, never thought of, you're sharing so much great information today. So many people are going to be walking away from this inspired, ready to go because they know that they'll be confident, going out to eat or making different selections at the store. Let's see. I saw a question here I want to make sure we touch on, and we're going to circle back on a few things. Anna Marie asked, what was the name of the podcast that you mentioned? Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, sure. It's called Wake Up and Read the Labels.
Yeah, Wake Up and Read the Labels. And I believe she does have an Instagram page as well. So I ran across her randomly just in the last 30 days, and I've been kind of following that. Shannon says, I agree. This program is amazing with the resources and the accountability. I love the calls and getting to know these amazing ladies and their journeys. And someone said, yes, you have to read the labels. My daughter, who is on this journey with me, asked about gum. And I said, check the label. I bet it has sucralose. Sure enough, it did. Yes, you do. And you just get used to it. You just get used to picking up 5 different things at the store to pick the best one. And if you don't find it, sometimes I eliminate it altogether going, okay, I'm going to go to the other grocery store and I'm going to see if I can find something better or different, or jump online and see some of those things. So be sure to join us in our meal preps. We're going to start talking a little bit more about those choices and healthy options that you can do, because it is a big part of this process. Is you got to get used to it. You got to get in, you got to get started, but then you start to adjust even more further. And like you said, what can I choose that's the cleanest for me? What can I choose that is really going to make the biggest difference overall now that you're settled in? So, okay, I want to ask you, we talked about your results so far. Have your goals changed at all since starting the program? You touched on it a little bit as far as your family and kind of helping to change your mindset. But do you personally have any other goals?
So, obviously, from a from a weight loss standpoint, I have another 38 pounds that I want to lose, 39 pounds. I want to lose a total of 75 to 80 pounds. Okay. So I do have a target weight goal. I have a target measurement goal that I'd like to get. I'm really paying attention to my BMI because that's the inside, and it's been coming down quite a bit. And that's a slower process. So I'm trying to be patient with myself because I know that it's a long process, but I started at 49 and I'm down to 42 now. And I'd like to get it to 30. And that's when I know that I'll feel healthier. So I'm really paying attention to the inside healing. I think that's important. So I guess really my goal, I mean, I can't change my blood work. It's already phenomenal. So I don't need to do that. I know Ruth's going to kill me on this one, but I bought one of those meters and mine didn't work. And I got so frustrated with it. And I don't know if it was the machine, if I got a faulty machine, but it just stressed me out. And then I thought, you know what, for the cortisol levels that it's causing me to try to deal with this stupid machine, I have not done any of that. But I also have really healthy blood, so I haven't had to. So I just had to weigh out for me how important that was. I'm not saying people shouldn't use it, because if they're smarter than me and know how to use the machine, they should. I just couldn't figure it out. It caused me way too much stress. So I just threw that one out.
That is a valid point, though. We talk about it a lot in our accountability groups that, you know what, you've got to stick with what works for you, right? Where your focus is right now, or it is causing you more stress, focus on the things that you do feel like you can control. Focus on the food, focus on adjusting those other things. And then some people are going to work up to that. Some people may not need it at all. I mean, you got amazing results, but you're still checking in with yourself. You are still getting, your blood work done. You're having that done through your medical professional, and you're still staying on track with where things are at. So yeah, maybe it's not every day for you, but it is happening so that you still, can monitor that and know how this is affecting you, which I think is amazing.
And I do track my macros. I mean, I'm very faithful. I use the Lose It app that Ruth had suggested to us, and I track everything. And I think one of the biggest tips that was given by one of the classes, it might've been yours, was putting in your macros before you consume it, because I would do it afterwards originally, I ate this, let me put it in. Oh crap, I just went 20 grams over, well, then it's too late. So going in and putting in things before you eat it will stop you from wanting to eat something that's really bad. Yeah. And I do that faithfully now. And I'm really glad that I got that tip through this. Again, so you guys give so many amazing tips that if you just write them down, reread them so that they stick, or whatever your tool is to make you retain the information, it's so helpful. But I guess my goals really are just to stay on track. I feel like I'm halfway there. I have my 45th high school reunion in August. I would love nothing more than to be a little healthier before I go back to that. Because the last one, I was not healthy, and I think I probably shocked everybody. So I'd like to shock them in a more positive way this time, being healthy.
Yeah, sparks that conversation. I'll circle back on that in a second, but I wanted to make sure I asked. So because you eat out a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And you find yourself on the go, how did you find tracking in the Lose It app, or, when you were eating out? Because I do think people struggle with that sometimes, is how do you know what to put in if you're at a restaurant and that doesn't show up in the Lose It app? Like where were you maybe going to get some of your information?
So if the restaurant itself is not in Lose It, because a lot of them are, but when you make modifications, they're not. So for example, when you do the PF Chang's, they assume you're going to eat the rice. So wow, you load that in and you're going to be, in trouble. So I will back it out. I'll find out, well, what would the carb count be for that rice? And then I can back that out of the formula. If it's not in the app itself, then I enter in the ingredients that I know of. And I'll ask. I have no problem asking hey, can you ask chef what he puts in that gravy? I'd love to know some of the ingredients. And a lot of times the chefs will actually come out and want to talk to you. Oh, in a good way. They're interested that you're interested. And I always say it's my health journey. And please thank Chef for helping me on this health journey, for being willing to share this information. And that if they have time, they will come out and they're really going to want to talk to you.
That's amazing. And you don't think about that, but connecting with people that way, because you're right. Like that's how the world changes, right? Is more conversations like that, more awareness, and bringing it to somebody, especially in the food industry, who's cooking for people every day, saying, yeah, I mean, this is what's working for me. I think that's
well, being in the hospitality industry, and I'm a member of a group called the Women's Food Alliance. So a lot of chefs are members of that. And I know many, many, many chefs in Jacksonville through that organization. I've asked them, am I the person you absolutely hate? Like, I just need to know. If I ask them, so I'm asking especially, and every single one of them has said, no, we love being challenged. We love being able to create something different. So don't be fearful of asking. And if you go to a restaurant where they give you a hard time, it's not a true chef. Don't go back to that restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's valid. And it's been interesting because some of the times that I've been at restaurants and I've made my modifications, it's funny, like immediately people pick up and they're like, oh, you must be doing like low carb or keto. And I'm like, well, yes, I am actually. Thank you for making, the adjustments for me, because I think more people are aware of it. It's just not an industry standard, right? It's not the norm, and it's not going to be the norm probably for a long time, but just bringing that awareness every time and more people picking up on it and being accommodating, are really great. But you're right. If you're somewhere where people are just absolutely not going to do it or help you, maybe not go back.
Maybe not go back. But I do. I just enter, to answer your question, I enter in the best ingredients that I have knowledge of to kind of build the app.
Yeah. Okay. So you've given us so many tips today. I mean, this has been so amazing and I've loved this, and we're going to be coming up on the hour in a second. So let's talk a little bit about, and you've given a lot of good advice too, but is there anything specific that you would give someone who is just starting out with our program, to help them on their journey?
Yeah. Don't give up, because it really was hard for me in the beginning, because like I said, I was a serious carb and sugar addict. And I think once I could admit that and admit that it was a true addiction and face, like any addiction, what the seriousness of trying to break that, I would say just don't give up, because it's going to be hard in the beginning. And what's more difficult, I think, in the 28-day time period is making it a habit, because it's easy to just kind of go back to old habits because you're not even aware you're doing it till sometimes it's too late. And it's okay. If you mess up, just go, oh God, forgive yourself, move on, because you're really, really changing behavior changes that you've had your whole life to, that you've been doing. And now all of a sudden you have to turn around and try to reprogram yourself. See it that way. See it as I'm trying to undo the bad programming that we've been exposed to through commercials and, marketing agencies and, our everything, So try just to understand that, dig into it, make it fun. Don't make it bad. Don't think about what you're giving up. Think about what you're gaining.
Yes.
And that long-term effect that it's going to have on you, because that's what excited me. And when you do get to a place where you walk in and people go, oh my God, you look so good. You've changed. Remember how good you're going to feel when they notice. and you do feel like, oh, I'm making a difference. And so hang in is what I would say. Don't give up.
I love that. And you're right. The mindset. So one thing that I take away, from one of our lessons, in TAS, we talk a lot about mindset, right? And, Dr. Edie talks a little bbit about how you have to have both components, right? You can act on these things, but if you don't have the shift in your mindset behind it, then you don't combine those things together, then you don't have the full power that you can have for yourself in order to make this work and be successful. So mindset is huge. And a lot of people don't pick up on that until they get through some of, part of our first 28 days and really start to pick up on like, oh yeah, like obviously food is a big part of this. You've got to be consuming the right thing to fuel your body, but making those small, tiny mental shifts so that you unlearn and you put yourself in a position for success is huge. And it is just the basis of this program.
I always say I'm deprogramming and reprogramming.
I love it.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so I want to double check Q&A. If you guys have any additional questions for Anne or myself today, let's be sure we get those in the Q&A because we are about to jump off here in just a few minutes. But let's see. Christy says, I have people say to me, there's science that will support any kind of diet you'd like to be on. It makes me frustrated because I really want to respond intelligently because I'm truly so passionate about this lifestyle. I read the book, Why We Get Fat, and wish I could just spout all of those facts. What is a good response to someone who says the above? And I'd like to ask your response on this, Anne, because I know that you have been doing a lot more research and that you are absorbing all this stuff. So how do you respond?
I get asked that a lot. Believe me, they'll say, well, what's so different about this? My response back to them would say, I'd love for you to tell me what's good about sugar, processed foods, and carbs. You tell me what's good about those and convince me that those are good for my body. I turn it back on them because this program simply suggests removing those things. And you tell me how that can be bad. And it usually shuts them up,
You're absolutely right. How would anyone respond to that? Because if they already know that ingesting some of these things isn't good, which we have all known, right, for years, I love that response. And I love kind of putting it back to the person to see what they say. And I look at these conversations as well as these are conversation starters, right? This is an opportunity and you don't have to hammer somebody, right? Because they're going to do whatever's best for them, but you can still, yes, be knowledgeable and intelligent about your process and what you are doing. And sometimes not even talking about it sometimes is what draws more people to you. I don't have to explain, but if you want to know, I am here and I will answer all your questions type of attitude. Because I've had that in my life. I just think, yeah, I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And the more weight I lose, the more confident I am, the more people start to notice that. And they go, oh, what's going on? And then every now and then I share a picture on Facebook or, wherever, and I remind them of my journey, excuse me. And the conversations start rolling in. People are like, oh, wow, what are you doing? And it's fun to be able to talk to them about it. And it's fun to share the fun in this program, like you said. Let's see. Joan asked, how do you know you are getting enough fat? Also, if you have constipation, what am I doing wrong? There's a couple things there, and I'll take a stab at that, and then Anne can answer if she's experienced any of that. Obviously, if you're tracking your macros, if you have a way to track your macros, that's the best way to see how much fat you're actually getting. So like Anne was talking about, she uses the Lose It app. I use the Lose It app. We also recommend MyFitnessPal. And I know that if you're in our Facebook community, there's several other apps and ways that people track their macros. But it has become the easiest way to do that on a daily basis so that it automatically calculates your macros when you enter that in. And so you really want to be watching those percentages, because in phase 1 of our program, which is also the 28-day metabolism reset, which you're following on the challenge, you have to get enough fat in order to train your body, right, to fuel itself with the fat instead of the carbs. So that's why you're lowering those carb counts. You're bringing those down, really low, and you're raising that fat up right now because that's what's going to help your body transition. Okay. And so we have some great tips and things on how you can incorporate more fat, but use those full fat dressings, use that full fat cheese. You can incorporate, oils such as avocado, olive oils. And then we talk a lot about MCT oils, and MCT oil is great because it boosts those ketone levels and it helps you get into ketosis. But there are so many good fats out there that you can continue to add those in. Cook with butter, drizzle butter over your vegetables if you need a little bit more. I mean, there's so many ways to increase that fat, but it does take a little bit of time to get that in your head, right? That it's okay to eat some of these fats because we've been told for so long that we shouldn't. So, Anne, I don't know, do you have any recommendations on that?
The only other thing I would say is because I get people who say to me, oh, having 80% fat's horrible. You can't do that. And I let them know this program doesn't say you're going to do that for life.
Right.
You're going to do it in that challenge period. Because when you get into phase 2, you do bring that down and to a healthier, level. And so I think that's where it's important for those people that are in this challenge to understand they're not saying you're going to be at 80% fat forever.
Right.
It's helping your body to transition. then you will be in a phase 2, which you'll be able to go into. And if you understand that, then it's a little easier to swallow it and enjoy it during that 28 days that you can go back to having, heavy whipping cream or butter or doing some of the avocados and eating some of that. Just try to stick with the fats if you can.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, touching on the constipation, I think there's a lot of people that experience this. There's a lot of people that obviously go through some of this from time to time. The MCT oil can actually help a little bit, getting more fiber and looking at healthy ways to incorporate that fiber, and I know, if there's anybody that wants to throw in the chat what they do specifically, I don't know if you encountered that at all, or if you have had, moments through the journey where you've, utilized anything that has helped with that.
Green vegetables.
Yeah.
Great. I up my green vegetables when I need to.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Well, we are coming up right on the hour, so we're going to wrap this up today. I want to thank you so much for all of the amazing information that you provided the community today. It's been so much fun to hear your story and get to chat with you. So thank you all. And thank you, Anne. We've really appreciated you.
I'm excited for everyone. Have fun with it.
Awesome. All right. Everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Isn't Anne's story inspiring? I just love so much that she's so unapologetic about figuring out exactly what works for her. That's what we all need to do. Honestly, it really is. And guys, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I'm going to be back next Monday with another new episode where I am venturing into brand new territory and answering a big question that's on a lot of people's minds these days. Should I try taking all of those fancy new weight loss drugs that everyone keeps talking about? And so if you too have been curious about Wegovy and Ozempic and how they work and whether that's the way to go, then let me tell you, you definitely do not want to miss this episode. We're going to go deep, and I'm really going to explain it. In the meantime, it would mean so much to me if you are enjoying this content that you would subscribe or follow the podcast on iTunes or wherever you like to listen. And also, if you know anyone else who would find this content useful or find Anne's story inspiring, then do them a favor and please, please, please be sure to share it. Send them a text or share it on social or by email or just shout it from the rooftops. And then, of course, because this podcast is still just a little baby, brand new podcast, your reviews on iTunes are really a huge deal. And so if you have a minute and want to leave a review, that really would be so amazing. So be sure to take a screenshot and send it to us at hello@thinlicious.com. We will be choosing listeners at random every week to win lots of fabulous prizes, including our Thinlicious Magic Protein Bars, our 28-day Metabolism Reset, t-shirts, and so much more. And then, of course, if you have any questions or you have any comments or you have any feedback or you just have ideas for people you'd like to see me interview or topics that you would like to see me cover on this podcast, please, 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 please feel free to reach out at hello@thinlicious.com. And then I will see you back here very soon for our next episode. That's all for now. I'll see you soon.